Forests in Thailand are not just green. They are endless, layered walls of bamboo and teak that swallow sound, twist direction, and confuse even the most experienced locals. Families enter to forage, to gather mushrooms or bamboo shoots, and they expect to return before sundown. But sometimes they do not. This is one of those nights. He was a young man from a small Isan village, 24 years old, eager to prove himself helpful to his family. On that morning, he set out with his mother and older brother to gather bamboo shoots in the Phu Meng range. The season was perfect for foraging. The forest floor was damp from recent rains, and villagers filled baskets with edible shoots to cook or sell. For him, it was the first time. He carried a simple woven bag and a short knife, following his brother along the narrow path. The bamboo rose higher than a man, leaves hissing in the wind like whispers. The mother stayed near the entry point of the forest, sitting with her basket, humming as she waited. The brothers walked deeper, their voices carrying faintly. The mother could hear them laughing once or twice, joking about who would find the bigger shoots. Then their voices faded, swallowed by the green. The air grew still. An hour passed and the mother grew uneasy. She called their names, but no answer came. She stood at the edge of the path, peering into the shadowy lines of bamboo. The forest no longer felt alive. The cicadas that had sung loudly earlier were now silent. The only sound was the distant creak of bamboo poles swaying against each other. She walked a short distance in, calling again, her voice cracking. Still no reply. Her hands tightened on the strap of her basket. A heaviness filled her chest. Something was wrong. By the time other villagers arrived to help, the forest had already darkened. They lit torches and began walking in lines, each voice calling out. Still, there was no answer. Word spread quickly. By nightfall, the district officers had joined the villagers. Radios crackled. Flashlights cut through the bamboo, beams trembling with every step. Dogs were brought to sniff the ground. The villagers walked in single file, marking trees with chalk so they would not loop back. The bamboo stalks bent and arched, creating tunnels that looked identical. Every direction appeared the same. One man swore he heard footsteps ahead, but when they rushed forward, the path ended in thickets. Another thought he heard a voice calling faintly, but it was only the rustle of dry leaves in the wind. They found nothing, not a single footprint, not a snapped branch, not a dropped basket. The forest gave no clues. The next morning, the search continued. Sunlight pierced the canopy, illuminating drifting mist. The bamboo trunks created shadows that moved even when the air was still. Volunteers walked deeper, tying strings behind them to avoid losing their way. The deeper they searched, the more oppressive the air became. Heat clung to their skin, but the forest floor remained damp, as if the ground held secrets it would not release. They shouted until their throats were raw. Each shout echoed strangely, bouncing back in a way that suggested someone was answering, though no one stood there. The mother waited at the base camp, her eyes red from crying. She whispered that her son would never have left her alone by choice. On the second evening, the rescue teams expanded their search radius. They combed through ravines, lifted bamboo mats of fallen leaves, and checked the streams for any sign. Yet the ground remained smooth and unbroken. It was as if he had stepped into the forest and dissolved into air. Some villagers muttered softly, refusing to speak the words too loudly. They said the forest had spirits, old ones that sometimes lured wanderers away. Others believed he had simply gotten lost. But even the most experienced foragers admitted that the forest felt different this time. Too quiet, too heavy. At the edge of the forest, the mother lit incense, praying for guidance. The smoke curled upward and vanished among the bamboo leaves. By the third day, exhaustion weighed on everyone. The search grid had widened, covering ridges and streams. Helicopters scanned from above but could not penetrate the dense canopy. On the ground, officers used whistles to signal across sections. Still, nothing. No clothing, no knife, no sound of movement. The dogs whined, confused, and refused to enter certain patches of the forest. Reporters came, scribbling notes and taking photographs of the villagers resting in the shade, their faces carved with worry. Some asked whether this forest had taken people before. The elders nodded slowly. They remembered others who had gone in and not come out. By the fourth day, the official search scaled down. The forest remained unchanged, bamboo swaying gently in the wind. The family refused to leave, insisting he was still inside. But the silence of the bamboo gave no answer. The mother clutched the empty basket he had carried. She sat at the forest's edge, her voice hoarse from calling. She told the officers that he was not careless, that he was kind and dutiful, that he would never leave her waiting. The villagers brought food and comfort, but no one could explain how someone could vanish without trace in land they knew so well. The case was never resolved. The young man was never found. The forest remained, stretching wide and green, its paths curling into shadows. Bamboo still creaks in the wind, and the villagers still enter to forage each season. But whenever someone walks too far inside, they remember him. They remember the silence that followed his last laugh. They whisper prayers at the forest edge before stepping in, asking permission, asking forgiveness. The bamboo forest keeps its secrets. A young man entered one morning and never returned. His absence lingers like mist among the stalks, a reminder that the line between the living and the vanished can be as thin as a single step.